Welcome to the Mystic Media channel. I am your host, Rabina Rastaban, aka the Realist Astrologer. And today I'm going to get into the dark-sided Pisces female video. So this is the last video in my dark-sided zodiac series. So I hope you enjoy this. And then after I post this video, I'm going to do a recap of all the videos. I'm going to discuss the comments that I've been reading and people's take on my videos. So it should be very interesting. So before I get started, I'm going to post a disclaimer to the left. Basically, this disclaimer is about those Pisces women that lean on the dark side or are dark-sided altogether. So if a lot of what I say does not apply to you, most likely you are not dark-sided, but on some of your worst days, you may display some of these traits. So let's get started. The dark-sided Pisces female. Oh, before I get started, I might as well tell you dark-sided Pisces females or just Pisces females in general, you better grab your happy pills, your drinks, and roll your blunts because this one may hurt. So let's get started. So first and foremost, the dark-sided Pisces female, she's sneaky, secretive, shady, and can be shysty. Just think about Rihanna, who's a Pisces, being with Jay-Z in the early part of her career. There was a lot of rumors that she was sleeping with Jay-Z, which I believe. And while she was with Jay-Z, she had that transformation from the good girl going bad. So more about Rihanna in a minute. Also, the dark-sided Pisces female, she can live a double life. So just think about Queen Latifah. Now, while she's not really dark-sided, she still hasn't officially come out of the closet in terms of her sexuality. But most of us realize by now that she is a lesbian and she has been photographed many times being out and about with her girlfriend, her long-term girlfriend of many years. Excuse me. Now, a lot of us realize that the role she played as Cleo and Set It Off is more akin to her true nature. And she even played Bessie Smith, the bisexual blues singer, but she still refuses to rep the LGBTQ community. In a 1996 interview, Queen Latifah spoke about having some anxiety about the role, the Set It Off role, which required kissing another woman on screen. So she was really faking a funk. So dark-sided Pisces can be phony in that respect. She said, there was some anxiety when I found out that I had to kiss a girl. Knowing good and well she's been kissing girls all her life. I can't lie. I'm already Queen Latifah. I'm not just some actress off the street. But after getting over that and releasing that anxiety, I went for it. I'm sure you did, because she played that role to the hilt. Also, this one website, after Ellen basically calls her out for being shady and secretive about her sexuality. So basically they're saying Queen Latifah's taking on roles like Set It Off's Cleo and Bessie Smith is sure to inspire the same kinds of conversations that her coming out would. But it also comes along with some questions like, why can't she be comfortable making love to a woman on screen but not talking about loving her partner in real life? Surely with the success she's seen and the name she's made for herself, as well as the empire that out lesbian Ellen DeGeneres has created. Ellen DeGeneres is also a Pisces. Since Queen mentioned her in that interview close to 20 years ago, she can't be too concerned about what she has to lose, right? Maybe someday we'll get an answer, but if we don't, we'll have to accept that she's taking a page out of Bessie's book, even if it's a little outdated. Also, the dark-sided Pisces female, and along with what I said about Queen Latifah, they can be vague, never totally upfront. They have a tendency to beat around the bush. They like to send mixed signals. The dark-sided Pisces female contradicts herself all of the time. She tends to be absent-minded. And they could be outright liars. They tend to make up shit to seem more interesting or appealing. The dark-sided Pisces female is a worrywart, always fearing the worst. She has a victim mentality, always throwing pity parties for herself. Case in point, a perfect example of a dark-sided Pisces female is the main character in the movie The House of Sand and Fog, played by Jennifer Connelly. I love this actress. But anyway, she played the dark-sided Pisces female to the hilt, because basically she inherited a home from her father, who had passed away, and then she fell behind on the bills, wasn't paying the mortgage, her house was a mess, and then wanted to play the victim role when her house went into foreclosure and somebody tried to sell the house. So to make the long story short, somebody died in the process of her playing the victim role. So yeah, she was a hot mess in the movie. Check that movie out if you haven't seen it. It's really good. It's really touching. but it will give you some insight on dark-sided Pisces and how they operate. So always looking for sympathy. Another dark-sided Pisces trait is she tends to be a gossiper, always spilling the tea on somebody. She's the gossiping old church lady who got more skeletons in her closet than everybody. And don't share your secrets, because they will eat it up, then regurgitate that shit and add some made-up shit to beef up the drama. So they cannot keep a secret to save their lives, especially when it's something that deals with a moral dilemma, because it will eat them up inside and they feel like they got to tell somebody. They tend to act oblivious when called to the table on something that they did wrong. They never want to take the blame for anything and will always try to pass the buck. The dark-sided Pisces female can be preachy, high and mighty, judgmental, do-gooder. She can be disorganized, can be a hoarder, or just plain messy. A lot of them are lazy, unmotivated, and they tend to shirk responsibilities. And as a result, they have a tendency to be big-time moochers, always trying to siphon off of someone else's money, success, fame, possessions, or popularity. The broke ones are the worst at this. Also, secretly or openly, the dark-sided Pisces female wants to be taken care of. She wants to be a kept woman, and she will take the route of least resistance. She can be a big-time cheater, but a lot of times it's not about sex. Because what they'll do is, and again, it goes with that double life that they can create, they will create a whole nother life with this person on the side. So it can really be an egregious offense once their partner finds out that they've been cheating and they have this whole other separate life with their side piece. Also, the dark side Pisces female, she tends to be a stranger to hard work. She doesn't like to put in hard work or long hours. She could be too idealistic, romantic, dreamy, impractical. Also, she could be flaky, kooky, bizarre, weird. Just look at Kesha. And she has a tendency to play make-believe, loves that cosplay shit and all manner of pageantry. Just think about Erykah Badu. Now, she's not dark-sided, but she does tend to take that whole Baduism a little too far. I saw an interview recently where she had this tuning fork in her nose and it was covering her lips and she could barely talk. So eventually she had to remove it because it was so impractical. And what's up with that oversized Mountie hat that she always be wearing? Now, years ago, I remember reading an interview that she had where she talked about how when she was a child, her mother would let her walk around with a tiara on her head. That's Pisces all day, because Pisces act like they're a little princess and they want to be put on a pedestal. So basically, you have two types of dark-sided Pisces. You have the prima donna, don't want to mess up my manicure, I want to be taken care of chick. And then you have the miserable slave martyr, nobody loves me female. And they both tend to be pill pop and screw up. They can be that prima donna, have that pedestal syndrome, also come across as very pretentious. Just think about Rihanna and how she threw shade at that one fan that tried to copy her dress for the prom. That was real low down and shady. Also, the dark-sided Pisces tends to lack boundaries. They can be thieves, boosters, scam artists, con women, kleptomaniacs. They tend to be bad with money. Just think about that cute little redhead who played the main character in Confessions of a Shopaholic. That is dark-sided Pisces all day, if you ask me. There's a scene where she's at work and her boss tells her that he wants her to write up some type of report, and she just turns around and Googles his instructions. And he's looking over her shoulder. He's like, "Did you just Google?" And she was like, "Yeah, I Googled." That is so Pisces, because oftentimes dark-sided Pisces will cheat to win or get ahead. And again, she was just a mess when it came to those credit cards, and she was addicted to them. So again, they have a very addictive personality. Of course, dark-sided Pisces is the quintessential drug addict lush. She got weed, speed, booze, pills, whippets, coke, coke. So yeah. So when they are addicts, they can be some of the most trashy, neglectful, and hopeless of drug addicts. Yet they will still be talking about God and shit while they're smoking crack or shooting up like, "Man, you gotta get right with God, man. I'm going back to church." But it's not just drugs or alcohol. They could basically become addicted to anything, any type of substance or whatever. So, that show My Strange Addiction. I know I spoke about that with other signs. Well, the dark side of Pisces female, she could be prone to having strange addictions. especially when it comes to smelling things, like smelling good things. Like they might like be smelling soaps all the time and end up burning their nostrils out. Now, some are straight schizo and prone to mental illness. Case in point, Nancy Spungen, who was Sid Vicious of the Sex Pistols' girlfriend. Now, some of you younger generations aren't going to know who this chick is because this was like the late 70s, early 80s when punk rock was really popular. But she was notorious for being this trashy, low-down drug addict, and also she had schizophrenia. So let me just read about her real quick. Raised in Philadelphia, Spungen was an emotionally disturbed child who was diagnosed with schizophrenia at age 15. After being expelled from college, she went to London at the height of the punk rock craze and became involved with Sid Vicious. Their relationship was punctuated by bouts of domestic violence and drug abuse. The press soon labeled Spungen nauseating Nancy for her shocking behavior. After the Sex Pistols disbanded, the couple moved to New York City and checked into the Hotel Chelsea, where they spent their time consuming drugs. In October 1978, Spungen was found dead in the bathroom in the couple's room of a single stab wound to the abdomen. Sid Vicious was charged with her murder but died of a heroin overdose while on bail in February 1979 before the case went to trial. So she's the perfect epitome of a dark-sided Pisces drug addict and also one that has mental illness. Now, sometimes what is viewed as them being schizo or crazy is actually them playing host to spirits. So, like the dark-sided Pisces male that I mentioned, they are often witness to paranormal activity and they can often be haunted. But sometimes it's all in their heads due to their boundless imagination. Now, they tend to have escapist tendencies, and that goes hand in hand with addiction. And the dark-sided Pisces female is basically the quintessential cat lady. She can't turn away a stray, but she may be neglectful of them at the same time. She could be a hypochondriac like Virgo. Something's always going wrong with her. She's always hurting herself in some type of way. She could be a hypersensitive crybaby. She will resort to emotional blackmail tactics like Cancer and Scorpio. Basically, all of those dark-sided water signs are like that with the emotional blackmail tactic. She could be very insecure, emotionally needy, can be very codependent, has a tendency to be paranoid, always believing someone is talking about them or out to get them. She has a tendency to wear too much perfume, smell goods, fragrance, oils, you name it. She can snap on you when you least expect it. So basically, the dark side of Pisces is very peaceful on the surface, but make no mistake, Pisces is a mutable sign. And like I always say about mutable signs, they are prone to snap on you when you least expect it and you won't see it coming. So the dark side of Pisces is definitely no exception to that rule. So you got to be careful with them. So when they're cornered, they might strike out like a rabid animal. So yeah. But their favorite method of doing harm is poison, whether intentionally or unintentionally. See, unintentionally, it could be because she's sneaky as shit and is prone to use some spoiled food in the ingredients to whatever she's making, like a casserole or something, brings it to a potluck. Next thing you know, everybody got the runs. So again, they could be sneaky with that. Thinking they go and pass off some spoiled food as being fresh and whatnot. So you gotta really watch them when it comes to potlucks and all that stuff. Also, the dark-sided Pisces female has a tendency to be dim-witted. She'll say some of the dumbest shit, causing everyone in the room to get silent. People will be like, really? Did she just say that? Also, the dark-sided Pisces female can be inept. Basically, you don't want to put them in charge of anything because they will find a way to fuck it up. Also, the dark-sided Pisces female, she can't take a joke. She tends to be slow at catching on. Now, she's often the butt of jokes due to this. And she's often the last one to know what's going on. So if she's in a group of friends, she's often the one that's left behind, or she's often the one that's left out of the loop. And a lot of dark-sided Pisces females, they're just behind the times. So some of them may not dress up to date, or they're just out of it a lot of times. The dark-sided Pisces female could also be a party pooper since she gotta go home early and get her beauty sleep or feed her numerous pets. Dark-sided Pisces are sleepyhead. Pisces rising especially is prone to talking and even walking in her sleep. Pisces moon may have this tendency as well. And dark-sided Pisces has the tendency to be superstitious. You know, don't split the pole. Don't walk on a crack. You'll break your mama's back. All that crazy stuff. Also, the dark side of Pisces female, she has a tendency to let herself be used, exploited, and dumped on by everyone, only to whine and complain about it for attention later. She loves to play the role of the martyr. So people will be all like, oh, poor little Pisces. Oh, you do all this work for everybody and nobody does anything for you in return. Well, nobody is forcing them to do this work. They put it on themselves and then they want to complain about it later on. Also, the dark side of Pisces female will create a virtual prison for herself, either with partners, friends, family, pets, or possessions, sometimes all of the above. Pisces is the sign of imprisonment and bondage. Now, if she's the passive type, she will attract all types of drug addicts, alcoholics, dirty, rotten scoundrels, sleazes, and partners who live double lives. She will pretend to be blind to it all. The dark side of Pisces female also has a tendency to lay guilt trips on you, and she will hold grudges for a long time. Now, they have a tendency to be chameleons, so you really don't know who you're dealing with. They can be fake and phony, especially in the workplace. The whole fake it till you make it is definitely some dark side of Pisces shit. And I already mentioned that with that Confessions of a Shopaholic movie, how she Googled instead of trying to do the work on her own. Also, the dark side of Pisces female coworker will throw you under the bus just to save her own ass. And she's a big time gossip and she spreads rumors at work. Now, in terms of being a boss, she's the boss that wants to connect with you emotionally. She wants to eat lunch with you and all that. She tries to pry into your personal life. She's the absent-minded boss that conveniently gets amnesia when you remind them of something that they said or promised. She's the boss that goes over everything with a fine-tooth comb because she's so fearful of being out of compliance. Now, as mothers, the dark side of Pisces female can be too doting and coddling. Their baby could do no wrong. The dark side of Pisces female tends to lack boundaries as a mother. She could be too involved, too emotionally dependent upon her children for self-validation. She's the mother that can't let go of her child. She's the mother whose kids run all over her and she feels it's her lot in life to be their slave. Or you have the very neglectful, often drug-addicted, lush type of mother who ruins her kids' lives as soon as they emerge from the womb. Also, about the dark side of Pisces female, she has a tendency to get caught up in scandal. And she loves a good scandal. So she loves, movies and, drama and soap operas and all that stuff, things that deal with scandal. She's all about scandal. So she often will create her own types of scandal. Now, case in point, there's this dark side of Pisces named Christine Keeler. She was a spy and a prostitute. Spy, secretive Pisces, shady, shicey. So basically, let me read about her real quick. Keeler was in the center of the most scandalous affair in British politics this century. Her love triangle from July 1961 with War Minister John Profumo and Eugene Ivanov, a Russian spy, brought the government down soon after the affair was exposed in March 1963. After a summer 1963 trial, she was arrested for perjury. That's lying. Pisces lying. On the 5th of September 1963, she was found guilty and released from prison on June 8, 1964. Also, the dark side of Pisces is easily duped. She's the kind that will join a cult. And as children, they are so sweet, but you gotta hold their hand with everything. And when you give them directions, you gotta be very specific. Now, I was about to say dark side. She's definitely not dark side. She's of the light totally. But I have a Pisces daughter. She's a teenager. And ever since she was young, if I needed her to do something, I had to be very specific to the letter, like go in the refrigerator, get the milk, take the milk out. So yeah, so they can be like, as kids, they are sweet, they are lovable, but you gotta hold their hand with everything because they could just be a hot mess when it comes to being organized, when it comes to following directions. Now, the dark side of Pisces female also has a tendency to not stick up for her friends out of fear. Now, in terms of sex, she could be afraid of the dick because she easily gets dick whipped and loses her damn mind. So they could be teasers for this reason. Basically like, oh, you can lick it, but you can't stick it. And also the dark side of Pisces female can be serial masturbators due to their inclination towards fantasy. Also, they are prone to check out during sex and fantasize about their favorite star, or they may just be in la la land uh while they're getting some dick. So don't be surprised, men, if you're having sex with a Pisces female and she just seems like she's far off in some other land somewhere. She might be fantasizing about your best friend. You never know. Also, the dark-sided Pisces female can be a sexual martyr or a sex slave. So just think about those bukkake porn chicks. Just think about the gangbang porn chicks that fucks 100 dudes back to back. Just think about the glory hole chicks that, like 50 dudes are sticking their whole dick in the hole back to back. So case in point, Nina Hartley, Pisces, she was one of the first major porn stars, and she starred in over 650 films. Now she's a safe sex educator. So she went from porno Pisces to a preachy Pisces. So I told you about them being preachy. So Pisces is the sign of films and filmmaking. So pornography and Pisces go hand in hand. Now, about the whole sexual martyrdom, Rihanna says this. She says, being submissive in the bedroom is really fun. You get to be a little lady, to have somebody be macho and in charge of your shit. That's fun to me. I like to be spanked. Being tied up is fun. Remember, she had that S&M song. I like to keep it spontaneous. Sometimes whips and chains can be overly planned. You gotta stop. Get the whip from the drawer downstairs. I'd rather have him use his hand. So that brings to mind that scandal that she was involved with Chris Brown. So remember, Chris Brown went upside her head. Now she's quoted as saying that. So when that story came out, there were people that were very skeptical, thinking that she might have egged him on. And I'm starting to lean towards that too, because if this chick is in the S&M and she's talking about, sometimes whips and chains are overly planned and I want you to use your hands. Well, you never know. Her and Chris Brown could have been into some freaky deaky S&M shit. And then she played the victim role when she saw that her face was all bruised up after a night of wild sex. So you never know. Again, like I said, with dark-sided Pisces, they could be shady, shisty, secretive, sneaky, and straight up liars and like to play the victim role to the hilt. Also, no partner will ever be good enough for Pisces, and that's why they're prone to cheat and have these secret, separate lives or double lives. Basically, it deals with them being very idealistic, living in that whole fantasy world, not being able to deal with reality. So, here's some other dark-sided Pisces females. Eileen Wuornos. She is the female serial killer that the movie Monster was based on, played by Charlize Theron. So let me just read a little bit about her. She was born on February 29, 1956. Now, she had problems coming out the womb because if you're born on February 29th, I always talk about the number 29 and how it's like the worst number possible to be born under. But also the fact that she was born on February 29th, which is a leap year day. So that already shows coming out the womb, she was already jacked up. So she really didn't have much of a chance. Still, it doesn't make an excuse for her behavior. So Eileen Carol Wuornos was an American serial killer who killed 7 men. 7 is the number of Pisces. She killed 7 men in Florida between 1989 and 1990 by shooting them at point-blank range. Wuornos claimed that her victims had either raped or attempted to rape her while she was working as a prostitute, and that all the homicides were committed in self-defense. She was convicted and sentenced to death 6 times for the murders and was executed by lethal injection on October 9, 2002. So again, she was a crazy murderer, but she tried to play the victim role, tried to say that she killed those men because she was raped. She was also a hardcore drug addict, and she had the tendency to black out and snap on people. Also very mentally ill as well. Sharon Stone is another dark-sided Pisces, so I just want to read some of her quotes. So she's good at playing those seductive yet deadly roles, like in Basic Instinct. And I believe because she's really kind of like that in real life, because she plays those roles a little too well. She's a little bit too natural in those roles. So some of her quotes. My personal style and public style are very different. When I go out, I play dress up. So just like I said about Pisces, they like to play dress up. They like to play make-believe. They love that glamorous life and all of that pageantry. She also said, I like to drive with my knees. Otherwise, how can I put on my lipstick and talk on the phone? So again, that whole glamorous, prissy, prima donna, Pisces also can be heavily into cosmetics, so they can be addicted to cosmetics and makeup in general. Actually, Pisces is the sign of cosmetics and makeup artistry. Also, she said, if you act like you know what you're doing, you could do anything you want except neurosurgery. So again, that whole fake it till you make it, Pisces all day. Then she says, we Barbie dolls are not supposed to behave the way I do. Barbie dolls. Totally Pisces all day. You can't make this stuff up. So another dark side of Pisces, Drew Barrymore. Now, she was a druggie from an early age. Now, that wasn't really her fault, but still. Liza Minnelli is another dark-sided Pisces. She married that gay clown David Getz, who was just out to get her money, and she feigned ignorance the whole time, parading his Mr. Peanut-looking ass around. She also has a history of alcohol and drug addiction, just like her mama, Judy Garland. And this is from Wikipedia. Minnelli has long suffered from alcoholism and has been addicted to prescription drugs, originating from a Valium prescription after her mother died. Minnelli left her 1984 musical The Ring to enter the Betty Ford Clinic. Her use of recreational drugs in the 1970s was noted by Andy Warhol, who in a 1978 diary entry recalled Minnelli arriving at Halston's house and imploring the host to give me every drug you got. So yeah, big time druggie. Vanessa Williams. Now, while she's not really dark-sided, she did those porn shots back in the day and tried to still be crowned Miss America. Because again, Pisces is all about that glamour, that glitz, that pageantry. So she was basically like, fuck it, I don't care if those photos are out there with me kissing some white chicks, hoo-ha. I'm going to be Miss America at the end of the day. So she got caught out there. That's another thing with Pisces. Pisces has quick karma. So when they do dirt, oftentimes they get found out. It's very hard for them to get away with shit. I mentioned Kesha. Basically, she's just low down, trashy, self-deprecating, has low self-esteem. She's a drug addict and an alkie. In one of her first songs, she was talking about brush my teeth with a bottle of Jack. Straight up lush and just weird, kooky, and cray-cray. Elise Neal from that show Hollywood Divas, and she also played in that sitcom All of Us. She's a kind of like dark side of Pisces to me because she has a tendency to be stuck up, prissy, has this prima donna persona, and she tends to be a pedestal chick. And last but not least, Coco Austin. Coco Austin is Ice-T's wife. She's the wannabe porno queen, but too scared to go all the way. Therefore, she comes across as a big tease. And she's all about that whole glam, fantasy girl, glitz and glamour type of shit. And she goes over the top with the cosmetics and the plastic surgery and all that stuff. Basically, she just looks like a Barbie doll that's been blown up, tits, ass, all that shit. So that's my take on the dark side of Pisces female. Hopefully you found this insightful and enlightening. And please feel free to post a comment sharing your experiences with any dark-sided Pisces females. And if you would like a reading, please visit my website at www.rabina.com. And I really enjoyed doing this Dark-Sided Zodiac series, and I hope you guys enjoyed it as well. And like I said, I'm going to provide a video where I'm going to give a recap on all the videos that I posted on the Dark-Sided Zodiac series. I'm going to give some feedback on some of the comments and what I thought about how some of you guys took my commentary on these signs. So it should be very interesting. And tomorrow, well, actually tonight, because it's already the 31st, I will be going live for New Year's Eve. So stay tuned for the notification on that. I'm planning on going via YouNow. So if you don't have an account with YouNow, if you haven't signed up, please do so you can catch me. But I will also have it broadcasting on YouTube as well. And this time around, I'll make sure that I can access the YouTube chat comments. So peace and many blessings.